Let's talk about using transitions in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you have clips next to each other, you can play the footage and it will simply cut from one clip to the next. Now, I shot this footage in a special cinema camera color mode, so I'm going to go ahead and apply some color correction to it with this adjustment layer. You can just ignore this adjustment layer, that's just for the color, but the concept we're illustrating is this simple cut. Now, if we go into Premiere Pro, we go to the effects panel, we scroll down to video transitions, then we can see the transitions that are built in. The cross dissolve is the most basic transition built in to Final Cut Pro, and we can apply a transition between two video clips and drag that transition out so it takes as long as we want to have that transition in place. Now the cross dissolve is going to look like that. We can delete the cross dissolve. We can put in a dip to black, for example. And let's go ahead and make that a little bit longer. And now we have a dip to black with the built-in transitions to Premiere Pro. Now, if we want to get really creative, we could take a look at some of the other styles of transitions, but the selection of transitions built in to Premiere Pro is somewhat limited. So there are people who will create their own transition packs and sell them online, and as long as it's compatible with Premiere Pro, you should be able to use it. Now, BjK Production sells numerous transition packs for Premiere. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 36 Smooth 4K transition pack that BjK sells on bjkproduction.com. Check out that webpage if you're interested in learning more about BjK's products and transitions for Premiere and other video editing software. Let's go ahead and briefly run over how you would install this. Transitions that are made for third parties work in different ways. Many of the ones from BjK, including this 36 Smooth Transitions transition pack, work by being applied or installed to the presets section of the effects panel. So I am in the regular editing workspace in Premiere Pro. I've gone over to this lower left-hand panel. Typically, you'll be looking at your project folder, which is where I've got my video footage, I've created an adjustment layer, and I have my timelines or sequences. If you scroll over in this panel, and I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse, you can also click around, but if I scroll all the way over to the side and then back a couple of spaces, I'll find the effects panel, and then I'll go into the presets panel. So if you right click on the presets panel, you can select import presets, and that is a great way of installing certain types of transitions like this 36 Smooth Transitions pack from BjK. So you would simply select the install button and then you would navigate to where the transition pack is located on your computer. And in this case, the transitions are installed as a PRF preset file. So I've already installed that, so I'm going to hit cancel, but you could click open if you were doing this for the first time on your computer. Now, I have organized these transitions into a subfolder just to keep things organized, and here is the 36 Smooth Transitions pack. Now, as you can see, we've got a variety of different transitions, and in some cases, we have subfolders with different subvariants of the transitions. Now, depending on who creates your transition pack and how they've created it, there may be differing ways to use it. In this case, with the 36 Smooth Transitions pack from BjK, what I find works well is to use adjustment layers and apply one to each side of the video clip. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to delete this dip to black transition. That's one of the special built-in ones to Premiere Pro. I'm going to go over to my adjustment layer. Now, if you don't have an adjustment layer, and it won't be there by default, you can create one by right-clicking in a bin, selecting New Item, and then selecting Adjustment Layer. An adjustment layer is basically a blank video clip that you can use to help you apply different effects. So you would just click on New Adjustment Layer, and then you would make sure that the settings for the adjustment layer match the settings of your timeline or your sequence. I've got one, so I'm going to hit cancel instead of OK, but if you're creating it, make sure to hit OK. The adjustment layer will show up in your bin or your main project area of this panel over here. And then you drag the adjustment layer onto the timeline. It's just pretty much a blank video clip, and you can drag that out as long or short as it needs to be. Now I'm using an adjustment layer already on this footage to apply some color adjustments. We're also going to use adjustment layers to look at applying these transitions. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten this up and apply it above my video footage, one above the clip I have on the left, and then I'm going to apply another adjustment layer over the clip I have on the right. Then when I scroll over to the effects panel, I'm going to look at, let's see, how about a glitch transition? As you'll notice, inside the glitch transition folder, there's a left and a right. Now, the way these transitions like to be applied is you take the one that's labeled for the left and drag it onto the left adjustment layer, and you take the one to the right and apply it to the right adjustment layer, and they work in pairs. So this is a little bit different than the built-in transitions, which you would just drag directly onto the space in between your video clips. These ones that are custom made by someone like BjK are applied in this way, and depending on the pack, there could be variances in the way they're applied. Check the instructions for your transition pack to see how they work, but in the case of this 36 Smooth Transitions transition pack for BjK, this seems to be the way they like to work. So we've just applied the glitch transition, including the left and right segment. Let's play that and watch this glitch transition appear. There we go, and that's just a fancy way of transitioning from one clip to the next. Let's take a look at some of the other transitions included in this transition pack. So I've conveniently set up this same video clip of the guy in the chair on the left, and then the clip that's just to the right of that is a clip of people walking by. So without transitions applied, it's just a basic cut from one clip to the next, and I've duplicated that several times. I've got my color adjustments already applied, and over here I've already gone ahead and added in these adjustment layers. Now these ones are blank, these adjustment layers here and here, here and here, here and here, etc. But just for practice, I'll go ahead and show you how applying those adjustment layers works again. So you would take an adjustment layer and then you can actually duplicate an object in the timeline by holding down the Option key on a Mac, or I believe it's the Alt key if you're on a PC, and holding that key down while you click and drag an object over to another space in the timeline. When you release your mouse, then you can release the key on the keyboard. And that's just a quick and easy way to help you duplicate items in the timeline. So I'm going to take those, hold down that Option key or Alt on PC, and drag them over, and that just helps me work quickly when I'm video editing. Now let's go ahead and just see that nothing's applied to those clips. But now that we have these adjustment layers in place, we can go back to our custom made transition pack from BjK, and we can try out some of these other transitions. Let's take a look at the block transition. Now, there's versions of it. Let's see what the center type block transition looks like. And again, there's a left and a right. So we'll apply the left one to the adjustment layer above the clip on the left, and the right one to adjustment layer above the clip on the right. And then let's play that and let's see how that looks. Ready? There we go. Very cool. So that was the block center. Let's see what the block left looks like. And we'll apply the block left to this next clip here, or set of clips actually. The one on the left and the one on the right. And we'll play that. There we go. That's a much more creative way to transition between clips than just that simple dissolve transition that's built into Adobe Premiere. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this video footage real quick while I apply some of these other transitions to these other video clips. Okay, and I have now applied these custom BjK transitions to each of the sections between video clips. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the timing on some of these. So you can make your transitions longer. You can make it longer on one side and short on the other side, or you can make it about the same on either side. So let's make some of these a little longer and leave some of them a little shorter just for variety, and we'll see how they look. All right, we'll zoom back out there, and then let's go ahead and play just to see a variety of these different transitions. As you may have noticed, this one over here looked a little bit odd at the beginning and end, and I believe that's because this transition is made to be not drug out to be super long. Let's go ahead and shorten it up and see if that looks a little more natural. And maybe just a little bit more. So depending on which transition you're using, that transition may have been designed to be a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. So you just kind of got to play with it and see what looks best. There we go. That looks better. So experimentation is a big part of video editing. Sometimes you just have to try something, see how it works, and if it doesn't look quite right, you adjust it and move from there. So that's a look at several of these transitions that are part of BjK's 36 Smooth Transitions pack. So that was just a basic example of with two different video clips. Let's take a look at a sequence of video clips, a little edit that I've put together for demonstration, and take a look at how transitions look when they're used in more of a complete video edit. So I've got over here in my timeline, this is a version of this video edit that doesn't have any transitions. This over here is a version that's using just the dip to black at the beginning and a dip to black at the end, and that basic dissolve transition in between each of the video clips. And then over here, I've used some of these fancy BjK transitions just to see how they look and give me some creative inspiration. And this is just an extra copy of the original footage. So let's go ahead and look at some of that footage. Now, I filmed this footage in this special color mode on my cinema camera, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that color correction with the adjustment layer to this footage so that it looks all good and normal. There we go, an example of using an adjustment layer to apply adjustments to a whole bunch of clips all at once. Adjustment layers are really great tools to be using when you're video editing. All right, so here is this sequence of video clips just without any transitions at all. Let's see how it looks. Alrighty, and I'm not going to play this whole entire video for you, but you've seen that these are cuts, and depending on the timing of a cut, it can work, but sometimes you want to have a transition applied between your cuts. So let's look at just the basic built-in transitions with that basic dissolve. Here's a fade from black and a dissolve, and they're all just dissolves. Dissolves can work great sometimes. They're nice and simple, but sometimes you want more than a dissolve. So let's look at what BjK has to offer with this transition pack here. The first transition is a dissolve or a fade in from black. But other than that, let's look at what we've got now. That was just a cut, but here we go. Now we've got some of these really creative transitions. And I was just applying these quickly as a demonstration. Some of these transitions work well, and some of them could use being swapped out for different ones. So it's good to experiment. It's good to do some trial and error and see what transitions work well between what clips. Depending on the action that's going on in the clip, some transitions are going to work better than others. Depending on the mood of your video or the energy of the video, you may want more of a fast-paced or more of a slow transition applied. And when you have a whole bunch of different transitions you can select from, that's really helpful because it allows you to select it allows you to search through a whole library of transitions and find which one works best for the given scenario at hand. And there we go. That is an example of some of these different transitions and what they look like. So I hope this video was educational, showed you how transitions can be useful, and how some of them, like this 36 Smooth Transitions Transition Pack from BjK, how they can work for your videos. So go ahead, check out the BjK production website and take a look at the 36 Smooth 4K Transitions Pack. It's only $10, and we're currently running a 2024 Christmas season promotion where you can get 40% off if you use promo code Emmanuel40, and that's Emmanuel with a capital E. So if you're on the BjK production website, you can go ahead and do a search for 36 Smooth, and that should take you to the transition pack that we're talking about today. If you add that item to your cart during our 2024 Christmas promo, you can use coupon code Emmanuel40 and apply that, and it should give you 40% off for the holiday season. And that brings the price down to just $6, which is a very affordable way to try out this transition pack and see if transitions are something that you would like to try using in Premiere Pro. Now, actually, this promo code will work for any item on the BjK store. So this is a great time to do your Christmas shopping for plugins for video editing software. Now, make sure you type this in correctly. Emmanuel, E-M-A-N-U-E-L with a capital E, no spaces, and then 40 at the end, Emmanuel40. And that is your discount code from now until December 31st, 2024. So get your order in before New Year's if you want to receive the 40% discount. Now, if you're ordering in the new year after the 40% promotion has ended, you can still use the code Emmanuel15 to get 15% off BjK store purchases after the holiday season. As well as the 36 Smooth 4K transition pack I've demonstrated today, you may also be interested to check out BjK's 500 plus instant drag and drop Premiere transitions, the Ultimate Premiere Pro 4K Editing Bundle 80 Plus Essential Tools and Assets plugin package, and the 1250 Plus Drag and Drop Transitions, Titles, and Effects Bundle. These items are for sale on the BjK store at www.bjkproduction.com. Check out the links in the video description for quick access to these products on the BjK store. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos.